Hello guys, welcome back to Let's Go Far Together. We're going to continue to talk about my favorite subject, football, or as you guys call it, soccer. During this winter season, all the teams that we have play 7v7. With that being said, our formation, or my preferred formation for our teams, is a 2, obviously the goalie, so you can call it 1, 2, 3, 1. The reason for this is because I'm trying to teach you guys in a way that you can progress in your soccer life, whether it is towards U14 in the spring and those who are younger when you get to go play to U12. Anyway, so when you transition from playing 7v7 as a youngster and you go on to playing 9v9 in the case of the U12s, and in the case of the U14s and the high schoolers, the ones going into high school, you guys play 11v11. My idea and my plan and the reason why I do this is to help you guys have a natural progression to the formations that you will see in high school. And where I see a detriment is that if I'm always using a 3 at the back, so if you use the yellow here, for example, if it's a 1, 3, 1, 2, which that's how most teams play, some who are very naive actually play with no midfield and just 3-3. But what I'm getting at is, in this scenario here, what you see is the lack of versatility in the system. And what you have when you move on is you have kids that are used to playing with 3 at the back and a single pivot in the midfield, and it doesn't really translate going forward into the 9v9 or 11v11, because what most coaches do when they go to 9v9, they add one striker here, so they play 3 there, and they play 2 midfielders, and it becomes a 1, 3, 2, 3, or 3, 2, 3. And from that, when you go on to playing at the 11v11, what you end up doing is having 4 defenders like this and 3 midfielders with either a single pivot or a double pivot. But the problem here is that these guys are used to playing with 3 at the back. And it may not sound like a big deal, but when you go from playing 3 at the back to playing 4, all of a sudden it's a completely different dilemma. We're not used to using the width, because the only guys to run the width is the guys on the outside. And all of a sudden, we find ourselves flat and incompetent to be able to play the game. And what we end up having to do is playing a system that is more of a 5-5-2-3, or a 5 or a 3. When I say 5, I mean this 5. So 3 center backs, 2 wing backs, 3 midfielders, and 2 strikers. Or it can also be like that to be more aggressive going forward. But in either case, you limit yourselves because you have these kids dependent on always having that extra protection and being, I think the right word is incompetent, to actually be able to run the wings, because they used to just sitting flat. So instead of that, what I like doing is having the goalie, obviously, 2 center backs, 3 midfielders, and 1 striker. And from here, right away, from the very beginning, I'm teaching the kids to use the width of the field, because these guys are to remain wide. I'm teaching the kids to have partnerships, which is what you want. You want them to develop partnerships and develop relationships with their close teammates, and understand at the same time that they have triangles within this team. If these guys drop, then they have a numerical advantage no matter what we do. What we all usually do, especially for this guy, is teach them to be way smarter in the way they play their game, because when we don't have the ball, this guy becomes a center back. These guys come back to protect zone 14, which is the area right here on top of the box. And then the striker comes back too to help in the midfield. And we are very compact, we protect our area, and we make the other team stay on the sides. And when we gain the ball back, we break away. We break away in a way that it continues, like I said, to teach you guys to have partnerships here, to develop a very smart player in midfield. If you guys can play this on a 7v7, when you transition into a 9v9 and an 11v11, you'll be able to play any of the 3 or even more, depending on your speed and ability, positions in the midfield. But especially if you're using 3 midfielders, you'll be able to play any of those positions. Now, the wingers, we get used to doing this. On this formation, we get used to using the wings. Now, when this transitions into a 9v9, what we want to do is these guys become you left and you right back, so it becomes a 4. This is what I do. A 4-3-1. So I continue to use this guy as my pivot, my guy to control the game. I continue to nurse those relationships with their center backs. And now these guys are already used to, as a team, we're already used to using the width of the field when we have possession of the ball. So when we transition to a 9v9, we become a 1 with the goalie, 4-3-1. And that still allows us, when we have the ball, to go up and support with these guys, because when they go to 11v11, these guys are going to have to go up and support, or at least if you're doing more like a Guardiola or Klopp, or what's the new guy that's doing it? The one from Brighton, De Zerbi, Roberto De Zerbi. If you're using more of a system like that, or even Arteta, where this becomes an inverted fullback, but that's a lot more forward than where we are right now. So traditionally, these guys go up and support. These guys will go up and support, and all of a sudden, when we have possession of the ball on a 9v9, it looks more like this. We have a lot of width, we have control of the midfield, and we technically should be able to control anything that comes our way, especially if this guy doesn't get out of positions. Because if he gets over here, we have no one to delay the attack. If he gets way up here, then we are completely cut open in the middle. So that's why we need to have a very intelligent play as the pivot. And we have 3 strikers, so it becomes a 1-2-3-3. So we are very forward, very, I don't know what you call it, gun hold, or ready to go when we are attacking, when we have possession of the ball. But when we don't, we have a very secure 4 at the back that will keep any attacks from coming in. 3 midfielders to protect zone 14. Especially one of these guys, if this guy has to get buried in like this to be more protective, this guy will come in. So from this system, you already, and even from the 7v7, because of this guy, you already given them the understanding that they can have 3 at the back like this, and have, to when they transition to 11v11, they can be 5 at the back, or 3 center backs and 2 wing backs, however you want to say it. So they can go from a back 2 to a back 3, and that clicks on the kids so good that when they transition into 11v11, this is the beautiful thing. This is where we are right now, but this guy's a little higher on a 1-4-3-1, okay? But when you transition, this is what the beautiful thing that happens is one of these guys goes up, these other guys go up. It will become a 4-3-3, or very easily a 4-2. Actually, the number 10 is usually here. a 4-2-3-1, which this is one of my actual favorite formations. And from here, the kids again already understand that this is a partnership. These guys are partners in crime, ride or die kind of thing. And at the same time, these guys understand that when we don't have the ball, one of them has to tuck in to the center back role. This one protects here, these guys go here, and these guys kind of chase around anything that the opposition attacks or midfield is moving around. And it becomes a very compact formation. And then when we have the ball, obviously, if we're using the 4-2-3-1, when we have the ball, we have the ability to have these guys overlap. This guy can run up freely. This guy can go up too. Keep him centered like that. Those guys go up. This guy goes up as well. And if this guy's holding the width, this guy's holding the width. Even at this, always with one guy here to delay, and then one guy will be free to move in between the spaces that the other team leaves open. Now this guy can tuck in, and if this guy tucks in, this one overlaps. But all I'm saying, and I'm trying to get you guys to understand, is regardless of the losses that we take and how bad we might actually look in some games, and you might think, well, why the heck is he not being more aggressive, or why is he not being more defensive? Why are we not playing 3 in the back instead of 2? It's because the kids understand, and I'm trying to teach them, that when we don't have the ball, we do need to become a 3 at the back. But it needs to be part of a philosophy, of an understanding of the game, rather than a rigid, always 3 at the back, and we're just going to lay here on this line and die. Rather, I like it to be more of a free, to where the guys can play, can experience the game, and can continue to fall in love with the game by the mistakes they make, and sometimes we pay for them, but also by the freedom they have to be able to express themselves in the field, to be able to make mistakes and know that it's just a game. Because that's something that I continually say to the kids. If they play because they want to win, I don't want them in my team. If they play because parents want them to win and they need to collect silverware and medals and this and that, that's not important. What's important to me is that they arrive to high school level or even beyond that, but especially at high school, because that's what I intend to get them to because of the ages that I coach. They arrive there with an understanding of what we are doing, of why the partnerships and the understanding of the triangles and the way we actually open up the field and why we narrow it down when we don't have the ball. Because when we don't have the ball, everybody defends. Even the center striker. The center striker is the one that needs to be pressing the most. So it's like technically the guy that's more like the hound dog out there trying to press down the opposition. And that is what we're working towards. So don't take so hard if during this winter season we lose some games, or we lose some games by a lot, because we are essentially a rec team playing against some Premier Clubs kids. They all athletes, they all have done this for years, they mostly actually have played together, and we just do it for fun. The reason why I do this is because I want you guys to take it serious. And in that, I'm trying to teach you the things that you guys don't have in your development, that you haven't picked up yet, whether it's because you weren't paying attention or that your coaches didn't know enough to be able to teach you properly. But we have to do it together. You have to put in the work that I'm asking you to do. You have to watch these videos. And even if it doesn't make sense, I told you guys all the time, this that I'm teaching you guys, it's like the Bible. You don't understand it. You read it, your parents tell it to you, and you're just like, that's kind of cool, but at the same time, it's boring. When can we just play? Or why can't I just watch TV instead of listening to you tell me this? But as you grow up, those things come to your mind. They will. I have seen you guys from when I had you last winter to where you are now and what you've done during the fall season and the spring travel season. The things that you were able to do, things that I know. And not to sound egotistic, but I had a hand in or on teaching you when I had you in the winter. And maybe you just didn't have the strength or the ability to do it, but you knew how to do it. And you were tripping over the ball, but you knew how to do it. And then as you grow up and your body comes into fruition, your muscles kick in, or you start taking care of yourself better, or you take it more serious and you practice more, all of a sudden it clicks. And that's what I want to do. I want about the time you get to high school, all this clicks in and you don't become players who forcefully have to play a certain system because you're just not good enough to play in any other system. You don't want to be a system player. If you're a system player, you're limited to making sure your coach is playing this formation. Because if all of a sudden your coach is a two at the back kind of guy, like I am, you know, 2 center backs and 2 fullbacks, and you are used to having a guy right here and this guy's up, you're gonna get killed right here. You will. And I don't want that for you guys. And when you're playing up here, you're not gonna know what you're doing because you are used to playing down here and you're used to playing everything so central. The only guys that were in the width was the strikers. That's not what I want from you guys. I want you guys all to be very versatile in what we do and to understand that we play this because we love the game. And that's what I want you to guys keep remembering. We play this because we love the game, and if we're here and we want to go way up here, then we gotta put in the work. We have to. You have to take care of yourself. I gotta teach you these things. You have to learn them. And if you don't understand something, ask or watch the video again until it clicks. And if it doesn't click right now, it will come. It will come to your remembrance. What you put in is in there and stays in there, and it'll come out eventually. All right? But anyways, that's a different conversation. I love you guys, and I'll see you later.